I'm Rudy Aittama from Bootjack, formerly, and I am about to tell you a story about my Army life. I was drafted and sent to Fort Jackson, South Carolina to be trained. After we were trained, we were sent to England, and then we crossed the English Channel into France. And from France, Le Havre, France, I was in the mechanized cavalry. So we drove on to St. Vith, Belgium. And from Belgium, we drove to Germany, right to the Siegfried Line. And at the Siegfried Line, we were there a couple days when the Battle of the Bulge began. It's called the Battle of the Bulge because that was when the Germans pushed through a little way by surprising us. But anyway, we had 2 solid days of combat, fierce combat, and that was the one side of the soldier's coin. The other side is we got wounded and captured. I was put into a big barn with all the other wounded men, and to my left was my buddy was shot through the Adam's apple. To my right was a German soldier, all riddled. He was crying for a cigarette. I put a cigarette in his mouth and he expired. 2 of my buddies came and picked me up from this barn and carried me because we had to march back. And as we went along, a German soldier singled me out and took me to the command post in the Siegfried Line with the bunker down underground. And at the top, he was spinning his finger on a little flashlight because it had a generator to get a little light. And I had an ever-ready flashlight in my pocket. I gave it to him and possibly saved my life. But we went down those steel stairs, down, down, down. I thought, well, they'll take care of me. And it was only the German officers drinking down there, all in their leather coats. And my guard just took a few drinks, turned around, and back we go up the stairs. He put me on a horse-drawn carriage with supplies, and he put me on top. And we kept marching to the back, driving to the back. But it was so cold, I had to get off of there. I knew I would freeze to death. So I managed to get down, and we marched for 4 days to get to the first stalag. And my wound was not treated. It was just wide open on the back of my thigh. When we got to the stalag, there wasn't any room for us, so they put us in the barn. And in this barn, we were just loaded with soldiers. We were all captive, and we were lying on the cement floor, Christmas Eve, and wondered, where are we going to go now? We were starved because we only got 1/10 of a loaf of black bread per day. And we were freezing, and then all of a sudden, there was one voice, another voice, another voice, and the entire barn was singing, "Silent Night, Holy Night." We had hope. It certainly gave us a boost. And the next day, we had a little can of sauerkraut juice for Christmas dinner. Then we finally got into the stalag, and in this stalag they happened to have pocketbooks conveniently around. We didn't have to waste time eating or anything like that, so I selected a book that was called Ordeal by Hunger. And this was the gold rush people caught in a Donner Pass in a snowstorm. They resorted to cannibalism. Well, that was my book. Well, anyway, we didn't last long there because they loaded us into boxcars, about 50 people, 50 of us in a boxcar. And we were 26 hours before we even moved. We were under air raid. And then we start moving, and we went 4 days in those boxcars. They opened the door once a day to give our ration of bread and locked them up again. We arrived at Stargard, Poland, another stalag, and we had to get out and get into this stalag. And at this time, my wound was just full of maggots because I didn't have any treatment for it. And so we stayed at this camp, and so many of the men lost their legs because they froze in this boxcar ride. So anyway, the Russians began to advance from the east. And then the Germans didn't want us to get taken by the Russians, so they put us all out, and we went marching. We marched for 12 days. We slept on the ground some nights, in barns some nights, but anyway, we made it 12 days, and it was the same rations, and we finally got to New Brandenburg, Germany, north of Berlin, after 12 days. Well, we got into this stalag, and it was the same thing, same stuff, living the same way, starving, freezing, and Russians start advancing again. They caught up to us. All of our stalags were on a railroad siding, so the Russians had to shell over our barracks to take the town of New Brandenburg. So they came and they were shelling and shelling, but we had trenches around our barracks, and we all dove through the windows down into the trenches. And doggone it, the guys were all praying to God to help them. I thought, well, I'll go nuts if I stay here. So I crawled back into my bunk and went to sleep. In the morning, I woke up. We were free. The Russians had gone through, and we were free. We were free to go out. And from there, we stayed with the Russians for some time. In fact, the President Roosevelt died at this time, and our boys made a flag out of rags, and we held retreat for Roosevelt. And so, the time came when an American officer finally approached and made arrangement for us to get freed into American hands. So the Russians loaded us up on trucks and took us to a grove. And there in the grove they had tables set up with white tablecloth, and Russian girls were waiting on the tables. Each one of us got a big bowl of stew, the first food we had for 5 months. And so they turned us over to the Americans. Then the Americans flew us to Brussels, Belgium, into a hotel, and they told us, go to the bar and get a bottle of beer, but that would be your last carbonated drink. But we want you to know that you're back in American hands. So that's what we did, and then we were taken to France, to Camp Lucky Strike, and there we could go any time during the day for milkshakes, eggnogs, anything. Anytime we wanted, just go and get it, because our stomachs were so bad we couldn't have the regular food. And so we had to wait to get our travel time to get back to the United States. Even though we were prisoners, we had to wait for our points to add up. So that's as far as I will tell you. We did get back to the States. I do have some other stories. That way, after we got to the States, I had a 60-day furlough, and after that I had to go down to Miami Beach to be reassigned. I got reassigned to Camp Lee, Virginia, and at this camp, after supper every night, We had close order drill every night. And it didn't make any difference if you had a wounded leg or anything, you just had to go. And so we stayed there. It was kind of like a hellhole in Germany. And there was a coincidence. I did have to do errands and go into the office once in a while. And there was a bunch of officers. One name was Paulson at one desk. We didn't know anything about Paulsons then. But anyway, it struck me that I better go and talk to him. He might be a Finn. So I went in there and asked him if I could talk to him. And he said certainly. And I told him my story. We just come out of a prison camp. And the reason I got there, they assigned me to cover latrines. That was going to be my duty. I'd have to shovel close the latrines. It was such a shock to me. That's when I went to Lieutenant Paulson. I told him my story, 5 months in Germany, and we just come back, and this is the way I'm treated. He said, "Go to your barracks, soldier." When I got there was a jeep waiting for me. They took me to the rail station, and they took me to Camp Kilmer, New Jersey. There I had the best job I ever had, and I wouldn't have minded staying in the service, but my time came up to be discharged. So now I'll give you the recipe for black bread, black Nazi bread. Our ration.
How much did you get a day of that bread?
A tenth of a loaf of black bread a day. The Nazi black bread, 50% bruised rye grain, 20% sliced sugar beets, 20% tree flour, sawdust, 10% minced leaves and straw. Serve 1/10 loaf per day each prisoner.
Let's see. Turn it around so we can look at it. Turn it around so I can see it. Now I'm going to focus in on it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Up a little higher. Okay. What was it like in the boxcars, Uncle Rudy? When you were in those boxcars, what kind of...
We were just... There was... The box cars were called 40 and 8s. It would fit 40 men or 8 horses. And they had 50 and 60 men in each boxcar. So we were packed just like sardines. There was no room to move. Just fill the boxcar up. And that's the way we stayed in there. And as for me, I was right in the center. They had a hole chopped in the center for a latrine. And I was by that latrine because I got in late. And I had a buddy and we just rubbed our legs. I told him, I said, now don't fall asleep. Just keep rubbing your legs or we're going to lose them. And that's what we did all the way. We just rubbed our legs. And the other guys that were in the back, they just lost their legs because they froze. They froze black. And that's the way the boxcar ride was.
What was the situation when somebody had to climb over somebody else? What was...
Oh, this is on the march. I'm so glad you brought it up. We were on the march and we'd sleep in the barn, and there were Czechoslovakians, Russians, and Americans, every nationality in those barns, because they were all prisoners. And I had to go to the bathroom, and doggone it, I start crawling over. I saw the light in the door. I thought, well, I could get up to that door and get out and go to the bathroom. I crawled over the Russians and they went, "Comrade, comrade." I got to the Czechs and they beat the living stuff out of me, because then I had to crawl back over the Russians. They just said, "Comrade, comrade." I got by that door. Well, the door was locked. Well, I had to take my long johns off then because they were soiled. So I had to go along without long johns, and that's the way that story was. And another story was when we first got to Limburg, we had just been paid before we got in combat. And when we got to the Stalag in Limburg, You'd think they'd have toilets and toilet paper. They only had trenches and no paper, nothing. So we were all paid, so we were using our currency. There were $20 bills and everything. That was just, we thought there's no tomorrow. So we used everything that we had. So that's the way it was there.
Wow.
Did the Germans treat you well?
I didn't call that treatment because they froze us and they walked us to death, almost to death. In 5 months, I lost 50 pounds. And we had, and being in those boxcars when it was cold, that was not treatment at all. And not having any food, that was terrible. That was, and then we were at the Stargard Stalag in Poland. Every morning they would put us out to stand, count. Every morning about an hour or two, just take you out. We didn't have any of the same clothes we had all the time. We just went out there and stood out there. They had to have body count. And then they'd let us back in. But every morning they'd chase us out. And I had the same clothes. I had the same socks 5 months. And my feet were small, so they didn't take my shoes. They had the habit of taking the American shoes and either trade with theirs or not give them anything at all. They'd wrap their feet in rags and walk. They had to march just like us. But I was fortunate. We only had leather shoes. We didn't have any overshoes or anything. We marched through snow just all the while.
What's a stalag? What is that?
Stalag is a German prison camp. That's German for prison camp, Stalag. Another incident when we first arrived at Limburg, the first Stalag, we were in this barn. Across the fence from us were the officers. They're in oflogs. They can't stay with the enlisted men. So the Allies dropped the bomb right into their camp. And they killed 60 officers right across the fence from us. And that's the way it happened there. It was terrible.
60 German or American officers?
They were American. They were all the ones that just got captured. And they did away with 60. And
when did your wound heal?
Oh, I had my wound. I had it on December 17th of 44. In July of 45, Eileen even treated my wound. In July of 45, it was still open.
When you came back, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then when I was up north, I went to my doctor to have it treated. And I had to slip, and it was 50 cents for medication, $1 for services. $1.50 what he charged me.
What kept it from getting infected overseas when you were there?
Maggots. When I was at Stargard, we were two men together in chicken wire for the mattress underneath us. And they were side by side. You couldn't turn anyway. You just fit side by side, and it was like sleeping with a dead dog. My legs smelled so bad because it was all full of maggots. Yeah, but that's what kept me from losing my leg.
Ate the decayed.
Yep, they took out the. So, and we had so much lice, you couldn't believe how much lice we had. And so, we when we got liberated, first thing they did was delouse us a little, and gave us an American uniform. And in a couple of days, they brought us to Lüneburg, Germany. That was the English, and they gave us an English uniform because they burned the other ones. They were all so much lice. Then when we got to Brussels, we got an American uniform. They probably burned those English uniforms to get rid of the lice.
How did they delouse you?
We just go under a little sprinkler, take your clothes off outside, sprinkler a little, put your clothes back on right wet. So we never had any showers or anything. And I had the same clothes. I just happened to have I had a tank jacket, short tank jacket, and the roadies and shoes and a cap. That's all the clothes I had all winter. Same thing, night or day. Yep,
Those metal tags that you have on.
my dog tags. I still have my dog tags. This is what we got. I don't know if that groove in there. I thought I was told that groove is in there. If you get wounded, they push that in your
teeth.
between your teeth. See that groove?
Yeah.
And then when they find you, you got your dog tag in your mouth. Yeah. So,
What are the medals for?
this one is good conduct. You know, he's just a lovely little boy. And this is the Ardennes, you know, our battle medal where we fought. And this is the Purple Heart. When you get wounded in combat, you get the Purple Heart. And these are denote the same thing, you know, where you were. Yeah. And I was a radio operator, technician, 5th grade. This was our division, 106th Division, and we were in the 1st Army. And I was in that same division all my life. In fact, yesterday I got a card from my platoon leader. He was a 2nd lieutenant. And for 61 years we've been corresponding Christmas cards. He's a retired colonel now. And we got one yesterday from him again, 61 years later. So he was my platoon leader. So wonderful, wonderful people. And that's...
Did you communicate with Aunt Norma during the war?
I did, didn't I? I carried a picture and still have it in my pocket. She took one of those little Kresge pictures, little squares, and gave it to me sometime. I carried that all through my prison life, and I still have it in my pocket. It didn't come too fast, you know. We didn't get together too fast, but it did happen.
The letters changed from Dear Norma to Dearest Norma.
But when you got the letters, they were cut up?
Well, sometimes they were.
I mean, because they took things out? you
Right.
said?
But the most important letter that I received was the one that was written on Russian paper after the day after he was liberated.
They gave us...
maybe it was later than that, because you said in the letter, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday was your birthday, and it was written May 16th. And that was the first I heard that he was no longer missing in action.
Right. I was missing in action 5 months.
He was declared missing in action all
Because
of
they
that
didn't
time.
know where I was. So anyway,
What did it feel like being liberated?
oh, just wonderful. The main thing being liberated, I still had all my senses. I didn't go berserk. Like a lot of guys, it's pretty hard on them, you know. And I was always clear-minded all the time. Even when we were lying on that cement floor, I never got panicky or anything. You're just wondering what tomorrow's going to be like. And tomorrow had a lot of surprises. So
Were you ever able to pick up food along the way as you were marching?
the Polish ladies used to try to give us a drink of water. They'd come with a cup and try to come to the soldiers, and the Germans wouldn't allow them. The Polish women would want to give us a drink of water, you know, as we're marching. They'd come running along. And we stopped at one place, and there was a pig pen, and we took frozen potatoes. Well, that turned our stomach so badly, chewing at those frozen potatoes. Oh God, we had stomachs like you couldn't believe. It was terrible.
How did the Germans treat you?
Well, I say they didn't. No, I couldn't say they treated us anything at all. We had that one meal a day.
Did they hurt anybody or?
Well, you know, that was when we got captured. That was called the Malmedy Massacre, At the very same time that we got captured, they shot every soldier. They shot about 80 of them, just a little way from us. They shot every American. And for some reason, we were the next ones captured, and they didn't shoot us. When we got captured, we were against a stone wall. They had 3 machine guns aimed at us, but they didn't pull the triggers. So we got spared. Yep.
What did you do for your job?
Oh, well, we were mechanized cavalry, so we knew every weapon. And then we were radio operators. And when we got into combat, we were not trained as infantry. We were cavalry, which means we were eyes and ears of the division. We were reconnaissance. We were supposed to go out, and we had to go out and find out where the hot spots are and come back and report. But as it was, they put us right on the front line. We had to go into combat but we had every weapon. We had every weapon, big machine guns, tanks, everything. So we were just there going full blast, so we held them back until I got wounded. Yeah.
How did you get wounded? What they came?
There was shrapnel, they dropped shells. They dropped the shell and the shrapnel tore the whole back of my leg, And we have a little, I don't know if you have a little packet on your belt now, sulfa packet when you treat yourself. No? Well, each soldier had a packet, and you put this on there and keep the infection out. So that's what I've done. And I did get, while we were walking, a German doctor did look at my leg, and he put a paper bandage on it. I walked about two minutes, and the paper got wet and just tore off, and that was the last I had on my leg.
Was it bleeding all the time, or just?
No, it was an open gash.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did it hurt like heck?
Well, no, it was so cold. It was frozen. We were freezing. In fact, over in Poland, we stand outside and we never shook so much in your life. Just like that all the time. So cold, just so cold. And I did go to the VA, and they looked at my fingers and they says, "You've had frozen hands." I looked at my fingernails because my fingernails are kind of a little rough, they're not growing too well. But he said, "You've had frozen hands." Well, we knew that. Oh, it's horrible.
What did that black bread taste like?
Just,
Sawdust?
when you're hungry, cardboard tastes good. So the bread didn't make any difference, Just something between your teeth. Yeah. And then when we were in Stargard, for some reason the Germans gave cigarettes. Well, the Russian cigarettes were about an inch of tobacco and 2 inches of tube. And that was 1 cigarette for 3 men. So they would get it lit somehow, and each one, would take a puff. Because we were so hungry, anything, even the smoke tastes good. So that's the way we took a little puff of that cigarette, and there wasn't much left.
What did you have to drink?
Nothing.
Do you eat snow?
No, I never ate snow. No, I don't drink now. Other than wine and whiskey and stuff. So I don't.
Probably not. I think that
Was that
Pretty
was
well.
that black bread? Black was it?
Black bread.
It was
Like-
black.
It was black.
Oh, yeah,
But
absolutely.
was it hard?
like
No. They had big loaves, and we got 1/10 of it. It's a slice, That was your daily ration.
And I remember you saying that you saved some of that. To
Well, you tried to. You tried to think of tomorrow.
Yeah.
You had to try to save some because you think, well, on tomorrow I'm not going to get any. But they did give every day. And
Now, when you went down into that cellar with that German, what was that like, and what did you think?
well, when I went down there, that guard just went down there to get a drink. I didn't know.
Why did he take you?
That I'll never figure out why he took me out, because I was with all my buddies in the column. Two of my buddies were kind of carrying me because my leg was just so doggone sore, you know. And he took me away and took me down in the bowels of that command post. And that
Were you worried?
Well, at the top of the stairs, I gave him my flashlight, and I thought, well, might save my life, because they had little ones with his finger, just spinning that generator to get a little light. And but we went down there. He just got a few drinks, and up the stairs we go. I just followed.
Were your buddies still there, or were they?
No, they were
they
gone.
long gone?
I was left alone because he threw me up on that wagon, and with a horse-drawn wagon, he threw me up there, but I couldn't stay up there. No blankets or nothing, just laying up on top, and I knew I'd freeze. So down I go, and I start walking, and I walked for 4 days.
Did the friends that left? Did they?
They
live?
got ahead. I got with other prisoners, you know, because there were columns, just columns. They were just going all
For miles?
miles.
Do you know what happened to those friends though?
Well, I have had a few buddies that didn't make it, and in fact, 2 of my best buddies didn't make it. You know, my best buddies didn't when I was training.
What happened to them?
They starved. Because when I was in training, we used to go, to the mess hall, and they wouldn't eat the food, and they'd go to the PX and just drink Coke, something like that. I noticed that. They always liked to just drink Coke or something like that. They didn't care for regular food. So when they were in German prison camp, they couldn't take it. We just put anything down that we got. We just put something down, even if we threw it up. Yep. So.
What was it like in the Battle of the Bulge?
Oh man, you couldn't believe. See, we had bunkers. They call bunkers. You know what bunkers are.
What is it?
It's underground. You're underground. There's only a little hole, for the guns. We were down there. We had 8 men in a bunker.
A hole in the ground?
Yeah, big hole. And you got bunks in there to sleep. You sleep in there. And then when it started, well, we all had to get to the whole hole there to fire the guns, whatever gun you could grab. I happened to be on a bazooka team, and so we had to get out and get up on top of the bunker, and we fired bazooka. I was loading into my buddy was, aiming, and that's the way we did for 2 days, and we never got hit. And there was machine guns all around us, just banging away, and we never got hit then, until I got shell dropped on me. And that's when I got captured. Yep. All of our men were very, very brave. Not one turned back when we got into combat. Everyone just fought for the best they could do. It was wonderful.
How much training did you have before you went to war?
Well, we had about a year of training in Fort Jackson. Then we went to Nashville, Tennessee, and had maneuvers outside for one winter. For about 2 months, we were out. Say that probably helped us, because we slept outside then in Tennessee. We were maneuvered in Tennessee. And then when we finished there, we were sent up to Camp Atterbury, Indiana, to be reassigned. I was all set. We just had our khakis on, set to go in the trucks to go for D-Day. I was one of them that would have been at D-Day. And my captain came just when they were about to pull out. He said, Aittama, come down. He put me on a train to go to Fort Riley, Kansas for radio school. So I spent radio school instead of Normandy. And then when I came back from radio school, we did get shipped right straight. We left November 11th of 44. December 16th, we were in combat already, and we had crossed the Atlantic and we crossed the English Channel.
By boat.
Yeah. It took us 3 days to cross the English Channel, and that's about 3 miles. But what had happened, it was so rough. And they pulled the anchor. We couldn't run ashore because they were bombing Le Havre. We couldn't go there. They were bombing it. And so we had to stay in the water, and it was so rough, it pulled the anchors off of our boat. They had to go back to England, put new anchors. We came back, and we ran right up on shore then. The place wasn't burning. One way to be in the boxcars, there were bullet holes all through it, and frost on all the bolts, but there was bullet holes. When we'd go through town, there was fire on both sides of us because they were burning. The towns were burning. You could see through those holes fire, and then the train kept on going. But we were there inside locked.
When you got off the boat on the English Channel, did this big thing come down? Everybody just run off?
You just run right off and drive off.
And then was it a battle right there? Or?
No,
Oh.
that was in France. We had to go to Belgium and then to Germany. We drove. You see, we had all vehicles. We never marched or went in there with a bunch of guys. We had the jeeps and that. We just had our own vehicles, and we drove up to the battleground. We didn't know we were going straight to the battleground, but it happened fast, and we didn't even have time to think. But we acted right away.
What about when you were in England and there was a place called Stow on the Wold?
Well, we were in England. Our command post was in the City Hall in Stow on the Wold. It's 30 miles from London. That's where we were.
Wasn't your brother in London at the
My
time?
older brother was in London in the Air Corps, 30 miles from me, and they wouldn't allow me to go and see him, but because we were under battle orders. We couldn't leave. We were destined to go to combat.
Did you ever meet up with him?
No, never did.
Did he make it?
Oh yeah. There were 5 of us from our family, 5 boys. We had 5 boys, and they were all in the service. And we were all in a different branch of the service. No 2 in the same branch. So they do. I guess they do that purposely. Although the Sullivan boys, there were 5 of them. 5 boys that went down in the Navy and lost their lives. 5 brothers. And they won't do that anymore. Yep.
That's I think you told your story.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, we'll think of other. Can you think of any other questions? Boy, what am I? Do you ever have nightmares about this?
Never.
Never.
Funny thing. As I say, I came out clear. Oh, by the way, last night we were at church, and the pastor told me there were 4 requests for me to tell my story in church. So last night at 10 o'clock service, I got up there and told my story to the people.
That's
So
great.
they
Quite a few were crying.
Yeah.
They really were. There were gals that taking their glasses off and
Yeah.
wiping their eyes.
My goodness sakes.
And
yeah, so it was.
What is? Wow.
So I guess that's
That's
a
wonderful.
happy ending here at Esther.
You bet it's a happy ending.
61 years later, I'm here
Yeah.
in good hands.
Yeah. Well, we're sure glad you were able to share that, you guys, right?
Okay, thank you.
You were a supply sergeant.
I was in the supply room.
Oh.
And we
In
were,
New Jersey?
I don't know, Fred, if when you go into service, you go to the supply room. Well, Eric probably, I don't know if he knows that, but they just throw anything at you. It better fit.
Right.
And I got on the other end over there that I could do the same thing. Throw that here you are. He was, yes. It was a wonderful job.
So today is December 25th, 2005.
Yes.
2005.
Right.
Yep. That's great.
Christmas, as a matter of fact.
Christmas Day.
Beginning to end.
I was almost 3 years, shy of 3 years. And,
In the Army.
yeah.
What did
You know, when I got my draft notice, I actually prayed that I would pass the physical. I don't know why I was in doubt, I don't know. But when we had to go to Marquette for a physical, and I thought, I really prayed that I would pass so I could go in the Army. I don't know what kind of urge we had, but that's the way I went in.
Mm-hmm.
Not battling it, but wanting to.
Mm-hmm.
When you got out, what did you use the GI Bill for?
Oh, I went to Western Michigan for, I took up horology. I was a watch repairman. Horology. Yeah, and I did watch repair for 15 years. And now I wouldn't dare touch a watch.
When you stayed there from Monday through Friday, we were married already, and he lived in, or shared a
I shared a
cottage or something.
cottage with veterans, and we had 8 to a cottage, and I was the only one with 2 legs. They'd take their legs off at night.
Where
go
was
to bed.
this?
In Kalamazoo,
Kalamazoo.
Western Michigan.
Fort Custer, probably.
They
No.
lost their limbs in the war.
No, Fort Custer's Battle Creek.
Yeah.
How long
Oh
did you
my
go
God.
to school? How long?
I was the only one with 2 legs.
You went a year and a half, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did you do the watch repair?
Gosh, it was everything, clocks, watches, everything.
Well,
Where?
Oh, and there was
Gary.
a ball player named Charlie Gehringer. You guys are too young to know. Well, his cousin had a jewelry shop at 7 Mile and Greenfield. And I got to work for him. He was the most wonderful man you could ever work for. He used to have 8 of us watch repairmen repairing watches. 8 in that. And this was in the 50s.
What about the story about your gal that used to come in with the ankle bracelet? Yeah, tell them that one.
That was, we had glass counters, and the one lady would come in and put her leg up on the glass counter and tell me,
She said,
Fix my ankle
Ruby
bracelet."
darling, Ruby darling.
"Ruby darling, fix my bracelet." She put her leg up on her. It was a glass case.
That's funny. Well, when did you get into the postal service?
Oh, now that story. I finally, I'll tell you what. I went to give blood, and the nurse told me, "Go home and rest. Your blood is so tired." Well, I had been sitting down almost 10, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, fixing watches. Never got any movement,
No activity.
So I finally told Norma, I says, could I quit? Because that insulted me when she said, "Your blood is so tired." Jesus. So anyway, I quit and I bounced around a little bit, different job, until I got, I had a heck of a good instrument job downtown. And it was near the Federal Building. And they were handing out applications for the post office. I had gone down there to check on if they had any openings for instrument repair. But he handed me one. He said, "Take one." They needed 60. That was in 63. They needed 60 men, and they handed 15,000 applications to try to get 60 men in the post office. That's how bad the post office was. They only paid 2.5 an hour, no overtime. You work 10 hours, you got 2.5 an hour, that's all. But anyway, I filled that blank. They sent a notice, come down and take a test. I take a test, they send a notice, come down and take a physical. And I took that. He said, okay, get in this big truck and drive around downtown Detroit. I did that, and he said, come to work. So I gave up $75 a week to go into post office. But they never laid me off. I worked 17 years, and now I get a pension. Mm-hmm. Those jobs never had any pensions, you know. You work for an hour and that's it. Mm-hmm. So I took it because I was 45 years old, and I needed some backing. I didn't have any backing at all. So it turned out so beautifully. Beautifully.
Interesting.
So anyway, when I worked in the post office, then I got to work, about 70, 80 hours a week. So I made good money. We got even at 2.5. I put double the amount of hours in. We just start early in the morning till late at night. Just keep on driving,
Well, Rich does that now, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
He talks about it.
Richard does that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But now they get overtime. Richard makes better. But we made out all right. And then I had, they dumped us off the trucks, and we're all walking. And I walked for 8, 9 years. I never took a sick day. I had 14 hours sick leave, had to turn back, you know. I never took a sick day. I was healthy every day. When you walk, you know, it's just terrific.
The dogs didn't like you, though, did they? What happened one time?
This one Great Dane got this arm, you know, from here to here. He almost had that arm all crushed. Yeah.
From where to where, Uncle Rudy?
It got from here to here is the dog bite, the teeth.
How did that happen?
Well, I just brought the mail to the house, and I come down the steps, and the dog came to the side, his big doggone horse came aside, just took me by the arm, and I had all my winter clothes on. He just turned me around, laying down on the ground. And I was looking up at him, and two men were across the street. They came running, and they pulled that dog off me. I think you'd have chewed me up completely. You know, he was a big son of a gun and dog.
Great Dane, wasn't it?
Yeah. He was quiet, never barked, and he was a policeman's dog. Terrible. Terrible.
Did you call an ambulance?
No, I went in, and blood running out of my fingers are, blood running on. So they sent me to the first aid.
So you drove yourself?
Oh, yeah. And they give me 3 weeks. The doctor said, you don't go to work for 3 weeks. When I got to, man, they didn't like that at all, at the post office. So one day they told me to go downtown for a check. And that nurse took that bandage, ripped it off my arm, and she pulled a big hunk of skin off my arm. She thought it was a fake bandage. And she had to put that skin back there. See, they thought I was
faking it.
Fibbing. That's terrible. That's terrible. Honest to God, it was terrible. They didn't believe that doctor. Yep.
Did she apologize?
No.
Was the dog killed?
Pardon?
Did they kill the dog?
I don't know what they did. I'd never brought any mail to that house again. They never said a word to me, and I never went to that house. The mail, I just left it in the post office.
Couldn't you have sued him?
I would have shot him.
No, she said, wouldn't you have sued them? The post
office
wanted
wanted me to sue.
The post office wanted him to sue.
Yeah.
But he said,
So they could get their money, but I said, no, I won't. I won't. They got to pay compensation, That's all it's doing. That's the way it goes.
Getting back to the Army, when you got back, how soon after that did you get married to Aunt Norma?
Well, let's see. I got out in 46 of November, and already in August of 47 we got married. Holy crap. It's beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful day.
We were married in Grandma's garden up in 382.
That was, and the whole wedding cost me $85. I bought her a wedding dress and everything.
Wow.
Grandma got all the flowers from
Pellegrini. I think his
Pellegrini.
name was, yeah.
We had flowers
Gladiolas.
strewn all over the place. Holy crap!
Where'd you go on your honeymoon?
Emil Frederiksen gave me
Bootjack, Dreamland.
Dreamland. Right.
Oh.
Our friend, our good friend, was a fireman in Detroit. He said, "Take the cottage for a week." And I belonged to the VFW in Hubble, and they said, "Take the hall, have the hall." So we didn't pay anything.
And Grandma Bowling made the wedding cake and had a reception.
And
at
that
the
on
house.
all her white rugs, all the way down into the yard. We walked on those white rugs that she made.
Carpets,
That was beautiful.
and we played a phonograph that's played the record because you come to me would not save love.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, that was great. That was great.
Did you have a minister there? Or
Oh sure.
Oh. Okay.
Oh yeah. Emil Frederiksen, Dad's good friend, gave me away, and Reverend Hademan, the one who was the pastor at the Pine Street Church, came over and married us. Bert and Betty were my bridesmaids, and two of Rudy's brothers were stood up for him.
The reason we didn't have kids was because I went to a specialist, and he says malnutrition has killed all your sperm.
I'll be
He
darned.
said you'll never have any. So I thought my dad had 12, so what the heck, and they had 10.
That's right.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
Well, you got a lot of nieces and
a
nephews.
lot of
and
nice,
a lot of people
nice
love you.
nieces.
Only
and nephews.
52 nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
52.
Oh, beautiful.
Wow. That's great.
My goodness.
You need to go over there and sit next to him just for a second. You got to get in there, Aunt Norma. Come on.
Well,
You got to get in
just
there.
love each other.
Be like
Yeah.
the old picture. You stand up and I'll sit down.
Oh, that's
getting
wonderful.
it?
Yeah, I got you, by golly. That's for
yeah.
sure.
Now we only have 58 years
58.
of wedded bliss.
Yay.
Sometimes not blissful.
Oh, I would say so. I would say always.
Oh, that's
What the heck?
fantastic.
Okay.
Poudre has lumps in it too.
Oatmeal has lumps in it too. Come on.
Well,
You gotta get in
just
there.
love each other.
Be like
Yeah.
the old picture. You stand up and I'll sit down.
Oh, that's
getting
wonderful.
it?
Yeah, I got you, by golly. That's for
yeah.
sure.
Now we only have 58 years
58.
of wedded bliss.
You gotta get in there, Aunt Norma. Come on.
Well,
You gotta get in
just
there.
love each other.
Be like
Yeah.
the old picture. You stand up and I'll sit down.
Oh, that's
getting
wonderful.
it?
Yeah, I got you, by golly. That's for
yeah.
sure.
Now we only have 58 years
58.
of wedded bliss.
Yay.
Sometimes not blissful.
Oh, I would say so. I would say always.
Oh, that's
What the heck?
fantastic.
Okay.
Poudre has lumps in it too.
Oatmeal has lumps in it too.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll sign off.
Okay.
Listen.
In critical condition, the driver who caused the crash, Robert Corcado, is behind bars. Well, it may be a first-of-its-kind diplomatic snub. The White House slamming the door on a terrorist militant picked to be Iran's next ambassador to the United Nations. The White House just announcing they will not issue a visa to the envoy who took American hostages in 1979. Earlier this week, Congress passed a bill that would bar the ambassador from stepping on U.S. soil. One former hostage calls the move a great victory for America. And finders keepers, a 14-year-old Oklahoma girl has sold the 3.85-carat diamond she found at the Diamond State Park in Arkansas for a whopping $20,000. She says she couldn't believe her luck when she found it.
I feel like God told me to slow down and look at the ground. And then in the corner of my eye, I see something shiny. I asked my dad if it was a dream, and I said, but don't pinch me.
So how is she going to use the money? To help pay for college. Very smart girl. I would have just thought that was tree sap. That was something. I totally would have looked just past that. Yes.
It looked like a diamond at all. It looked like,
Arkansas, the
only
diamonds
state where there are diamonds.
Are really
In
nice.
fact, it's called the Diamond State. I think that, we should all go there and just start digging. Because if, I've been. It's kind of cool. Have you dug in there? Yes. You have? Didn't get anything. He just got some he got some tree sap. Hey, let's check in with Rick Reichmuth. Where's Rick? Outside.
Clayton and Anna, did you have any idea there was a Diamond State Park?
I think I've heard of that. My family's from Arkansas, so I think as a little kid we may have gone there when I was a little kid, actually.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Sorry, Arkansas. Tell us about it. Tweet us. Tell us about what it's like there if you find diamonds. All right, take a look at the weather maps, guys, this morning. A few things going on. For one thing, it's going to be a spectacular day across the Northeast. Get ready for a really nice one. We'll see a little bit of cloud cover, maybe a very light stray shower or two across the Appalachians, but for the most part, you're looking really great. Down to the Southeast, another nice day. I tell you what, could not have better weather for the Masters this year. It is going to be nice. The next, actually, will probably be nice all the way until about Tuesday across areas of the Southeast. Texas, you're going to be another warm one, maybe a pop-up thunderstorm or two. A little bit of rain moving in across areas of Minnesota and Wisconsin this morning. Some of that's going to be heavy, and it's going to stall out a little bit in throughout parts of Iowa and over, say, towards Madison, Milwaukee, eventually towards Chicago. Could see a little severe weather and possibly some flooding because the next couple of days, maybe 4 to 5 inches in a few isolated areas. Out across the west, a disturbance moving through will keep temps down just a little bit, especially across parts of California. Still warm in towards Arizona. And get ready for Denver because today you're in the 70s. By Sunday, you're going to be into the 30s and maybe up to 6 inches of snow. All right, guys, send it back to you inside.
All right, thanks so much, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Well, the sequel to Fox's hit animated movie Rio hits theaters this weekend, something to take the kids to. And this time, Blue and Jewel are going on an even bigger adventure. Take a look.
We're birds. We have to get out into the wild and be birds, Blue. Let the kids connect to their roots. Hey, wait a second. It's gonna be so much fun. Yeah! Woo-hoo! We're going to the Amazon!
Emma, what?
Well, let's step into the Foxlight with Michael Tamero, who had the chance to sit down with the cast. Good morning.
Are they really animated in real life?
They're animated in real life.
Love it. How was the movie?
It was cute. My nephew saw it last night, and they really loved it. It's going to be it's a very close race at the box office this weekend between Captain America: Winter's Tale and Rio 2. As the Easter vacation takes hold of America, both are looking at about a $40 to $50 million haul this weekend. Rio 2, of course, is a sequel to the smash hit Rio from 2011. Took in about $500 million.
Wow.
We sat down with the cast, some of the returning cast members, Anne Hathaway, Jesse Eisenberg, and George Lopez, and asked them what they hoped audiences will take away from this movie.
One of my favorite moments in the film is at the end when the two warring tribes, who have this long feud, like kind of Hatfield-McCoy style, combine and their forces and fight a common enemy that would have threatened the entire species. And when I saw the movie, I was really moved by that moment when people put aside their differences to take care of each other and to take care of themselves as a whole. And that's something I hope people take away from it.
Really, it is about family and celebration and camaraderie and just being there for each other. And it's just a well-written movie.
Yeah. There's a lot of messages in this movie. What do you hope audiences will take away?
Like one of those popcorn things with all the characters on it.
The Rio 2 glasses. For me, it's the sense of community that I like. That all for one and one for all. It sounds very cheesy, but I like that. Togetherness.
All for one and one for all. Kristen Chenoweth was added to the cast this time.
She did.
She's so perfect for this with her high voice. It's perfect for a little kid's
perfection. She plays a little poisonous frog with a crush on Nigel, played by.
Is Jermaine Clement the first New Zealander in an animated film?
To go back to the archives.
He is so good.
He is so good, especially as Nigel. He does "I Will Survive," that Gloria Gaynor song, which it's a classic. Rio 2's at a theater near you, and you can catch all our interviews at inthefoxsite.com. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at FoxSiteMichael.
And he was just in the Muppets movie too, Jermaine.
Yes.
Yeah, he was very funny in that too.
He's a dry wit.
He does. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
All right, coming up here on the show, it's called Heartbleed, the latest internet bug that could already be in your computer, stealing your personal information. What you need to know right now to protect yourself against this horrible thing.
Then, God? Is that you? Nope, but that really is his first name, and now he's suing because of it.
Sydney needed some financial guidance so she could take her dream to the next level. So we talked about her options. Her valuable assets were staying and selling. Let's go.
Soldat américain. Attention, attention. Looks like we got ourselves a friend. We let the crowd guards go by. Ask him how long it'll be before the rails are fixed. Hey, comment ça leur prend de temps à réparer les voies ferrées? Ce sera très tard ce soir, très tard. It's not until tonight, very late. Tonight? I mean, they're working. What about areas? Comment se fait-il qu'ils travaillent la nuit et les bombardements? C'est très urgent. Une locomotive pleine de munitions va passer par ici venant du nord de bonne heure le matin pour ravitailler encore leurs avant-gardes. This is very urgent. They're working on a forced draft here. It's a big ammunition strain.
Therapy increases testosterone when used daily. Women and children should avoid contact with application sites. Discontinue androgel and call your doctor if you see unexpected signs of early puberty in a child or signs in a woman, which may include changes in body hair or a large increase in acne, possibly due to accidental exposure. Men with breast cancer who have or might have prostate cancer and women who are or may become pregnant or are breastfeeding should not use androgel. Serious side effects include worsening of enlarged prostate, possible increased risk of prostate cancer, lower sperm count, swelling of ankles, feet, or body, enlarged or painful breasts, problems breathing during sleep, and blood clots in the legs. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions and medications, especially insulin, corticosteroids, or medicines to decrease blood clotting.
So, what do men do when a number's too low? Turn it up.
In a clinical study, over 80% of treated men had their T levels restored to normal. Talk to your doctor about all your symptoms. Get the blood tests. Change your number. Turn it up. Androgel 1.62%.
Well, stretch and wake up 44 minutes after the hour. Some quick headlines. God denied a car loan. A New York businessman is suing the credit reporting agency Equifax. God Gazarov says that the agency flagged his first name and reported him as having no financial history. This caused him to be denied a car loan. Equifax says it is working to fix his account. And do you enjoy a nap? Yes. Well,